God of War Ragnarok. How did Kratos get to Midgard? He walked and sailed. About 100 years separate. God of War 3 and 2018's God of War, more than enough time to reach a new land the old-fashioned way. Having wrought chaos and killed so many people, Kratos wanted a new life. As revealed in the Dark Horse God of War comics, Kratos fled Greece after the events of God of War 3 and roamed the foreign land of the Pharaohs Egypt. Isn't that far from Greece, after all? Kratos tried time and time again to rid himself of his blades of chaos, but every time he went to sleep, he'd wake up to find them return to him. Kratos wants to leave his old ways behind, but is tormented by the unshakable blades of chaos. He meets an old man who tells Kratos that he's the answer to the locals' prayers. They've been threatened by 2 chaos beasts, and destiny has sent Kratos there to slay the fiends. Kratos is still a massive downer at this point and says he just wants to be left alone. He's confronted by the chaos beasts, but refuses to use his blades of chaos. He manages to kill one, but the other, larger one, knocks him unconscious. The old man reveals himself to be Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom. Between Thoth and Athena, who has a habit of appearing to Kratos in visions, Kratos is convinced to not run away from his destiny. He wakes up, grabs his blades of chaos, and slays the beast. That allows him to move beyond the land of the pharaohs. After his detour through Egypt, Kratos walks and walks and walks. He finds himself in the northern Norse lands. He lives in solitude for 75 years, according to the comics, during which time he works on his anger issues, trying to purge himself of the memories that still haunt. After that time, he meets a woman called Faye. She teaches him to open up his heart, and the two have a boy together. Kratos names him Atreus, after a Spartan soldier Kratos battled alongside many years prior. After destroying Olympus, remarrying another woman, and siring Atreus, in Norway, Kratos begins to disown his past and becomes a more stoic character, only bursting out in anger when antagonized or threatened. Although he is sometimes prone to outbursts when disciplining his son, he almost always manages to regain control of himself before doing any damage. He also accepts full responsibility for his actions in Greece, often exhibiting extreme sadness and regret, and at times even falling into a state of depression. When confronted about his past behavior, he now also dreads being called the Ghost of Sparta, angrily telling Mimir not to call him that. He is also more considerate of others' feelings as well, as he sternly reproaches Atreus when the latter asking Sindri the reason for Brock's blue skin while he himself doesn't. As a result of his drastic maturity, Kratos is shameful of his past and prefers to keep it a secret from his son. However, he eventually realizes being open to Atreus with his mistakes would allow Atreus to learn from Kratos' mistakes and not go down the dark path he himself once trodden. Following his union with Faye, Kratos went to great lengths to cover up his past as a god, especially from Atreus. Believing that his son's godhood was a curse, Kratos kept the truth hidden with hopes that Atreus would live a normal life, though his secrecy became the source of his son's recurring illness. Unfortunately for Kratos, Atreus, despite his compassionate nature, appears to have inherited his father's impulsiveness and tendency towards rage. He is alarmed at Atreus' outbursts and is quick to reprimand him for it, fearing that he will become the same monster as Kratos was in Greece. He is shown to love Atreus just as he loved Calliope, Lysandra, and most likely Faye, telling his son that they would complete the journey together. Kratos' relationship with Faye is not well known, but it is apparent that they had a very close and loving relationship, as Kratos openly acknowledges that Faye was better than a god and wondered if he could raise his son without her. He also respected Faye's wishes of not taking Atreus hunting, resulting in Kratos being gone most of the time hunting for the family. In quests of spirits, Kratos got annoyed by them and viewed almost all of them as fools due to his half-sister, Athena, and pests who only want something. Despite their annoyance, Kratos has shown his respect to pirate Captain Spirit, reminding Kratos of his leadership to his fellow Spartans. However, his distrust for divine beings remains intact, opting to avoid interaction with the Norse gods whenever possible, even when they, like Freya, try to befriend and help him. He is also shown to still harbor resentment towards the gods of Olympus, promptly telling the spirit of Athena to leave his head the moment she appears. He likewise reassures her that, while he is still a monster, he is no longer her monster. Despite this, Kratos is shown to have become more reasonable in dealing with the Norse gods, as he was able to come to trust and care for Freya after she saved his son despite all of his previous distrust. Even after learning Freya had bewitched Mimir to prevent them from learning Baldur's weakness, Kratos cared enough to fight Baldur for her and later saved her life by killing Baldur when he attempted to choke her to death. He did not harm her when she swore vengeance on him, likely as he understands the pain she feels, having felt the same after killing his family, and believes that time will eventually cause her to forgive him. He also came to develop a strong friendship with Mimir, eventually taking his advice more and even comforting him at times. After defeating the Sigrun, thus freeing all the Valkyries, Kratos was put in a good mood, possibly because he had done something good, but gleefully, although with a sarcastic tone, states that the Valkyrie Queen's helm would fetch a great price at Brock and Sindri's shops. Kratos rarely personalizes people. He refers to Sindri and Brock as the dwarves and the Blue One respectively, Mimir as head, Freya as woman and his own son as boy. He does, however, do it in times when he is stressed or sympathetic to whom he is speaking toward.